All right. As we've been reporting and following this morning, a special master has been appointed to examine documents seized from former President Donald Trump's Florida home last month. U.S. District Judge Raymond Dearie was proposed by the Trump team and accepted by the Justice Department. Harry Litman joins us now. He is a former U.S. attorney and deputy assistant attorney general. He's also the host of the Talking Feds podcast. So let's just begin big picture. What's your take on the appointment of Dearie?
The appointment of Dearie is kind of uncontroversial if you're going to have a special master, which you do not need here. But to have someone go over attorney-client privilege, which is what special masters do, if it's going to be someone, he's excellent, has a good reputation, a little slow, which might matter here, but basically a very solid judge.
But here's the other aspect of it. Yes, he has to go over attorney-client privilege, but also executive privilege. We have been taught that executive privilege resides in the hands of the executive, and there's only one.
There's only one.
It's the guy in the White House. But clearly the judge did not agree.
That's right. We have one president at a time. He's waived. And moreover, the law is very clear here that even if there was a question, because it's a criminal investigation, it belongs to the executive branch.
So help us understand what's happening.
Well, I'll do my best, but it was a little bit unclear. What she said, what Trump said is, okay, but you know what? These classified documents, the government says they're classified. Why does that mean they're classified? That's kind of gibberish, right? How do we classify things? The government marks them as classified.
Yeah.
Likewise, he said, maybe I declassified them. But he's been saying that in the public sphere, as with Howard Hewitt last night, but never in court where there are penalties. And the right thing for a judge to do then is to say, Mr. Trump, okay, raise your right hand, please, and say one way or another, or at the least not to assume he did. But on both counts, she let him slide and basically said, maybe, and I'd rather a third party decide. But if you stop and think for a moment, if that's the way we did classification in this country, the entire system would grind to a halt. That's not a district court judge's job.
Yeah, because if there's a stamp on a document, this is classified. I mean, Judge Dearie can't say, or Dearie can't say, I'm not sure if it's classified. It is classified. That's it.
That's totally it, except...
Also, the judge has no authority to say whether something is or isn't classified.
That's also right. But it's even harder for Dearie because he's got to call balls and strikes on attorney-client, fine. But on executive privilege, there's no strike zone. He can say, okay, executive privilege, but she suggested, well, maybe that means Trump has some interest in it. There is no law, zero law, not a law that says that. So he's going to have to be making it up. And moreover, this is a recipe for real delay because anytime he makes a decision that the other side doesn't like, here we go up to Canon 11th Circuit Supreme Court.
That's the thing
trouble.
is he's gonna say this paper okay, this paper not okay, and then they're gonna go we appeal this paper, and there's 11,000 papers, right?
So let's pull back a bit. And I've been reading your Twitter feed, which is fascinating. And so you've got people who are supporters of the former president who say, look, this is a witch hunt, and they're sort of buying into what the former president is saying. But you have others who are saying, look, why isn't Merrick Garland doing anything? Why is, if Anne-Marie or Vlad was caught with documents in their possession that were top secret or even higher than top secret, we'd probably be arrested, we'd probably be interrogated. And maybe if they deemed that it wasn't what they thought it was, we would be let go. But some people are wondering why Merrick Garland is moving so slowly. So two questions for you. You said that he's conducting Aikido against the Trump legal team, right? I want you to break that down because there are people who want him to move faster. And the question that I think a lot of people also wonder is, can Merrick Garland, does he have the authority to call the former president in, maybe not arrest him, but at least question him?
The answer to the second is yes, but there are real rules about that, especially if he's thinking that he might indict him. Because, they'll treat the former president, unlike this judge, as a possible target, and that means you can't just, make him talk for himself. The Aikido point was just that on many different occasions, Trump has sort of led with his chin, for example, refusing to say it was declassified, and he had the opportunity.
He's not saying that in court, he's saying that in the media.
Right, but also he would say things in court, and then Garland, who doesn't like to talk in the media, would be able to respond in court. That's what I meant by the Aikido point. But look, at the end of, it's not the end of the day. At the middle of the day, as we stand now, it's gone very well for Trump. He has a recipe for maybe great delay, and maybe even, if there's an argument, which no one's ever heard before, that it's okay for him to have executive privilege documents in some cases. Maybe there's no crime here even. So that's what's really worrisome and
Is he
pernicious.
being treated differently?
Well, that's because you say in your Twitter feed that Garland is playing on a slanted field.
Right, yeah. Is he being treated differently than any of us would be treated? Similar cases.
100%. She actually says it expressly in the opinion at the end. She really is taking account of the harm to his reputation and just the fact that he's a former president. That's one of many things that are really fundamentally wrong about the opinion because it's equal justice under law, right? She pretty much declares unequal justice under law. And then in addition, as I said, she lets him slide even though it means she has no evidence. She has these suppositions, maybe this, maybe that, so I'll rule for him. It should be maybe this, maybe that, so I have no proof. He loses.
She did give the Justice Department some of what they wanted, right? In terms of that much, in terms of how the special master has to go through the documents.
That's a good point. She said start with the classified documents when you're doing the other. On the other hand, as we were just saying, he starts with them. He says, yep, executive privilege. Now what? And so she says, do those first. One other really important point. The Justice Department had an affidavit, undisputed, that said this is really, really affecting national security every day. We can't just simply do the national security part and not the criminal part. And if anyone who understands how that system works, which is not, I think, the judge, understands that. She simply said, I don't buy it. And if you credit what the Justice Department is saying, every day while this is unresolved, there's harm to the national security.
Yes or no, will the DOJ win the appeal?
Okay, I'm going to say yes. It's a we're all used to saying who appointed the judges, how conservative, but this isn't a close call, I don't think. I think it's really just right and wrong. I think they'll win the appeal and get this, most importantly, they'll get the stay that she wouldn't give them.
Got it.
Harry Litman, great conversation.
Great to have
Thank
you
you very
always,
much.
Harry.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me.